What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Life Jacket Podcast, where we talk about topics helping you through the ways of life. My name is AJ. My co-host Bless wasn't unable to make it for this episode due to an emergency, so I'll be taking over. We also have a guest who I will introduce shortly, and as we always do, we start our episode with the win of the week. My win of the week is that I got a new standing desk for my office, just so that I can stand sometimes while I work instead of just sitting down all day. So they say it's good for you, sounds healthy. So I'm with it. So that's for me. And we have our guest, Crystal. Thanks so much for coming on the pod. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I'm gonna be checking in and making sure you stand in while you
Yeah,
working.
right. Right.
My one of the week is finally getting back into content. My
Mhm.
regular 9 to 5 was taking up a majority of my time for April and May, and it finally slowed down enough for me to actually start making videos again and starting a vision of what I want to do for the summer.
Okay. And for those that don't know, what do you make videos of?
I mostly make videos of J. Cole content, but I'm also branching out into lifestyle content on my YouTube. I also sometimes do like funny skits on TikTok and Instagram Reels.
Cool. And where can they find you at?
You could find me at crystal.elaine underscore on TikTok and Instagram, same handle. And then on YouTube, it's just crystal.elaine. Yes.
Cool. Okay. So for
Thank you
those
so
that don't
much.
know, do you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Yes. Okay. So I'm Crystal. I feel like I had a very abnormal lifestyle, being that I was born in Vegas. I lived in Chicago. I lived in Florida. I lived in Indiana. I lived in where am I at now? Maryland.
Mhm.
Um, where do I want to start? Born in Las Vegas, went to Chicago for a little bit, moved back to Vegas, finished high school there, went to FAMU, and then taught in Gary, Indiana, moved back to Florida, and was recruiting in DC. And that led for me to make my move up to the DMV because I like the area. Um, Childhood was a little bit different just because I did not grow up in a traditional two-parent household. My father lived in Chicago, hence the back and forth in Chicago. And then I did live with my mother and her husband for a few years before they got divorced, right before I left for college. Very fun and energetic girl, very passionate about arts and education. Was on top of my grades. I graduated top of my class, and I ended up getting a full ride, and that's why I moved across the country to go to FAMU. Is there anything else that
No, that's
okay.
cool. So we can kind of talk about, let's start with, guess your childhood. You talked about going back and forth from Vegas to Chicago, back and forth. Kind of what was that? What was that like?
Yes, that was a very different experience, and I didn't realize how different it was until I got older. But my parents broke up when I was like in preschool. So my mom felt like it would be better for me to actually education rise and work rise for her. It was more successful for us to be in Las Vegas. And at the time, my father couldn't come to Chicago. So I actually have an older brother. So my brother lived in Chicago, and then I grew up in Las Vegas. And the way that they broke it up, I would spend my summers in Chicago with my family, my father, and then the school year I was with my mom.
Cool.
Mhm.
So we know May, Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I know we've talked. So I know when did you kind of first begin struggling with like suicidal thoughts, like kind of self harm?
So the actual suicidal thoughts, they started around high school actually.
Mm,
Um, Around that time, I think the trigger was my grandmother passing away. So when I would spend the summers in Chicago with my grandmother, that's who I would actually spend all my time with. That was actually the person that I felt comfortable expressing how I felt about everything. And then she died suddenly. I believe she had an asthma attack at a party. My whole family loves to party.
mhm.
So that was like a very big shock for me. And at that time, I didn't realize that how much tragedies I kind of like swallowed until I realized that I felt like I didn't have anyone else to talk to. So a little bit more background. Before my grandmother passed away, my father has also lost his father. He lost his older brother. We lost cousins. A lot of drug addiction within my family. So it was a lot of things that I saw that I didn't really fully process or start to process until around high school. And then the thoughts started to come like, well, this is what life is if you haven't noticed.
What was it like growing up feeling like you didn't really have anyone to talk to?
Um, Honestly, I didn't start thinking about that until I was an adult. I actually spent a lot of time. I had a best friend that I would just go sit with her. But I would spend a lot of time doing a lot of extracurricular activities. So I was captain of the cheer team. I was also very involved with my church community. I used to dance in church. I was in Girl Scouts. I was in student council. So a lot of times I was actually very busy. So I didn't have a lot of time to sit with my emotions actually. But the times that I did, a lot of times I would like write songs. I used to want to be a rapper.
Hmm.
Um, or I would just do little stuff like paint and draw and things of that nature. Um, so I didn't really notice how difficult it was not having anyone because I was distracted most of the
Hmm.
time, actually.
So do you feel as though like a lot of the distractions and that was like coping in a sense, like just
Yes.
being just keeping yourself just busy all the time?
Yes, it was a lot of coping, but then the thoughts started to get louder than the coping, if that makes sense. So it will honestly, this is like, I actually never really talked about this, but it will be times where my mom is like driving me to cheer practice or to church, and I would like literally be like, "Well, if I kill myself, would I go to hell?" And
Mhm.
it'll be those type of thoughts that would randomly come up like while we're driving, and I'm like, "Girl, you can't think that way." And I also felt like I wasn't justified to feel that way at the same time because it's like when you have so much going for you, my mind kind of was like, you have all of these things lined up. You're on track to be top of your class. You're doing all of these great things. Why would you feel the need to like be suicidal? So I kind of like tried to push down the thoughts, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. And so how do you feel as though, well, thankfully, first you didn't, thankfully
Yeah.
you're still here, thank God for that. How do you feel as though those struggles you went through during your childhood has affected you into adulthood now or has followed you?
Yeah. So I didn't know how to properly cope, actually. So it was like, as I mentioned, I didn't even realize that I didn't have anyone to talk to until an adult because it was like people pointed out that I didn't know how to communicate my needs. I also learned how to become a performer. So I cheerleader, dance team, all of these things. I'm in everyone's faces. I'm smiling, and I learned how to do that very well. And I learned how to be able to mask whatever actual feelings I was dealing with. So these are all horrible coping skills because now when you're an adult and the stresses are increasing, now it's like, well, I don't really know how to say that I need things. And now I'm lashing out. And then, especially, um, like in moving so much, I interact with a lot of people that don't know me. So my performance is even better
Hmm.
because they don't know what is Crystal or who is Crystal. So I've been able to like move through a lot of things, not knowing how to communicate or actually sit with my emotions and be able to digest what I'm actually feeling to get to the root of it.
No, yeah. And so, as adults, we see we have our 9 to 5, we got everything else going on. So like how would you say as an adult, like it intensified with like your 9 to 5 and everything else you got going on?
Yeah, so when you're younger, sometimes like you realize what you're doing doesn't have as much as an impact. Of course, it's shaping who you are like as a person, but as an adult, it does not stop. So it's like
Facts.
now I don't know how to actually cope properly. I don't actually know the root of my feelings. I still got to make sure that I'm doing great with my job or great in college. I was on scholarship, can't lose a scholarship. So it's like whatever thoughts that I'm actually feeling, I don't have the time to sit down and actually process them. It's more so, okay, you got to get this A on this test. You got to get this assignment in. You got to reach this work deadline. You got to make things happen, and then you're constantly on go, and then you don't necessarily realize that all of the feelings and emotions, they're not disappearing, they're just building up, and now you have additional stress, and it leads to like exhaustion, as well as like explosion or mental breakdowns. Like
Hmm.
a little bit example, last year, and I think we'll end up getting into it, but I was actually supposed to go to a work conference, and it wasn't until the day before the work conference my car ended up breaking down, and I broke down at the same time. And it was just like, actually I had to end up calling my manager, and I'm like, I can't come to this conference because there was no strength in me to really be able to put on the performance at that time. It was like I don't have it in me. And then it was also with a whole bunch of people that I didn't even really have relationships with to know that if I would be able to feel comfortable like with them.
Do you feel as though that was like a real pivotal point?
Yes. So last year to like really bring it in, um, and I think we'll end up like going back on like
Hmm.
isolation and whatnot.
Right.
But last year it was a lot going on. And again, I had horrible coping mechanisms. And then moving to the DMV outside is so much fun. That is a horrible coping
It is. It
mechanism.
is. Yep.
It is horrible. So during that time, my granddad was like really struggling with cancer. I was finding out more about like a lot of mental health that actually ran in my family, like people being diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar, dealing with drugs. And these are people that I'm really close to and that I love. And then it was like a shock financially, the worst I've ever been in my life. I am definitely one of those planners. Like even with going to college, like freshman year of high school, I'm like, I'm not paying for college. And that was something that I said. So I always been on top of my finances. Last year, it was insane. And then also work. I've been in the same position for the like 4 years. And then a lot of my hard work has been rewarded with additional hard work. And it's like, I need money. Y'all are not promoting me. I'm dealing with things from my grandfather. I'm dealing things from those that are close to me and my family. And I am trying to push through. And I really just don't have it in me. And again, instead of actually sitting with my emotions and feeling them, I was going outside. I was getting drunk. I was actually distracting myself.
Mhm.
I was always in people's faces. I was always finding something to do. I was packing my schedule from the morning to night, so I wouldn't have to deal with those emotions. And then I was becoming mean. I was lashing out. I was crashing out. I was treating people that I actually cared about horribly because it was a whole bunch of feelings that I actually have not sat with and like was able to dissect.
No, that's deep. So do you feel as though when, I guess, what would you say to someone who may be in the same situation as you? Like, what is a healthy
Wait.
coping
One,
mechanism?
sit the hell down and figure out what's wrong with you. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Um, to be able to analyze, I feel this way because of these situations. I tend to have a bad habit of having toxic positivity. That is what normally leads to me like like breaking down because I keep on trying to say I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, and I don't be fine. So like the first step is actually sit down and figure out what's wrong with you and analyze I am sad because of this. And then you realize, okay, is this something that I have control to fix it? If you have the control to fix it, do the things to fix it. If you don't have the control to fix it, do what you need to release your emotions about it and then be able to move forward. So in regards to my granddad's cancer, I couldn't fix it, but I didn't have to pretend like I was okay about it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to journal. It's okay to call my mom and be like, actually, I do feel upset. Or I feel like it's not fair that someone that has been such a strong provider for our family is literally dying. And it's okay to have those conversations opposed to trying to feel like you are not justified to have those feelings.
Yeah, I think even for me, like you know about the jobs that I was going through. Like
Hmm.
I was always telling people I'm fine. But like I remember it was one more morning. It was maybe like the third month in. I just could not get out of bed. I was like, I cannot get out of bed. I'm looking at my clock. It's 2 o'clock.
And you
I'm
can't.
still in bed. And I was like, oh, I think I'm depressed.
Yeah. And
Like
it hits
really.
you like
And
that.
it really hit me like one day. And I've never really been like that, but I was like, oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to get up. And I would realize, it would be every now and then throughout the whole process. I was like, wow, I'm really stuck right now. And
Hmm.
I kind of had to realize, all right, like something's up. Like
Did the people around you notice? Or were you good at like hiding it?
I was pretty. I mean, I'm so like nonchalant. I need to be a
Yeah,
little bit.
you
Yeah,
are
I'm real
in
laid
general.
back. It's pros and cons to it, but I've been working on it for real. But like I'm so, it's hard to read me. So
Yeah,
you would
that is
never
true.
you would never really know. But no, it was some days I'm like, wow, I'm going
Through
through
it.
it.
Give
Like
me a second. I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
like one day last year after going out, I ended up crashing out. And then the next day, like the next day, I didn't get out of bed. Like I didn't wash my ass. I didn't eat. Like I literally I stayed in bed. I kid you not for 24 hours. And then I said, damn.
Yeah.
This is literally a sign. And it would also miss like one of my favorite artists from being so sad. Like I didn't have the energy to get up. I didn't have the energy to perform. I didn't have the energy to show face. And then it was also harder with being a performer in general. And then also moving to the DMV. Y'all didn't know me. Like y'all are just now honestly getting to know me for real. So it's like again, I could be able to go through these things and like when I finally talk about it, people like I had no idea. And I was like, I know.
Do you feel like moving a lot as a child like kind of impacted your mental health at all, or not really? It was just kind of just like,
No, actually, I feel like the downfall is just like people not knowing the authentic version of myself
hmm
and then me having to constantly reintroduce that to a lot of people. But honestly, I think moving around a lot actually helped me see the world in a more holistic view.
hmm
So it was like the dynamics between like Las Vegas and Chicago completely different. So I know exactly how it feels to have everything you need. I also know how it feels to not have anything to eat or for the lights to not be on or to not be able to flush your toilet. So I feel like that also leads for me to be more empathetic when I interact with people just because I've been able to experience a lot of different versions of life.
Cool. No, that's good. So let's kind of segue into like more of like the healing, self
Yes, that's a
discovery.
first
Yeah, we could
segue.
go on a more lighter note, I would say. So like, what kind of led you to the rediscovery of yourself and like the healing part of it?
Yeah, I was exhausted. So the isolation period that I had was right before moving up to the DMV. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida. I was tired of strategizing and thinking of ways to kill myself. That was something I didn't really dive into. I did end up telling my mom, but a lot of times I would think of certain plans of what I could do,
hmm
and I was tired of doing that. I was tired of living a life that I know was not fulfilling to me. I had settled thinking that if I just ended up with a man, have a good stable job. I was teaching at a time, then that would be enough. But God has called me to so much more than just that, and it was a huge discomfort trying to settle in that. So it was more so like I was exhausted, and it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I don't want to be having these negative thoughts. I don't want this lifestyle. So now I had to tell God, like, I'm willing to do whatever means necessary to get myself back on track. I didn't know whatever means necessary was him taking everything away. So he kind of forced me into the isolation. Um, and at first I wasn't excited about it, but having that time, it was just me, God, and my dog Kaido. You have nothing to sit with but your thoughts, and really rediscover who you are. So like God really like walks me through everything, reminding me that I love music, reminding me that I love dancing, reminding me that I always was passionate about cooking, even if I didn't know how. Reminded me that I was very bubbly and fun and funny and goofy, and that didn't happen until like I sat down long enough to like reconnect with myself.
How important has God been in your healing journey?
Oh, that's the leader. That is literally the top of making sure. How do I explain it? God has kept me together. Long story short, He has been the one being that I know I could always lean on, that I could always know that He would get me back in tip top shape. More story like childhood, I've always been very involved in church. I was always excited to read my Bible. I used to have like a really picture filled Bible that made me excited. I used to make my grandma email or mail out this company to get Bible studies that I would fill out. So within the healing journey, he just sat with me. He would talk to me. I know it's kind of sounds crazy, but it would be through dreams, through conversations that people would have with me, through certain opportunities that I didn't even try to get that would land on my lap. And he just made sure that I had everything that I needed in order to get back to the woman that he created me to be as I continue to grow with that as well.
How do you feel isolation helped with like rediscovering, reconnecting with yourself?
During the isolation period, I couldn't perform. So it was like I didn't have anyone around me. I didn't have as many distractions. Um, I was also like part of the isolation, I was saving to move here. So it's like I wasn't like booking trips. I wasn't really interacting with a lot of people that I grew up with, I went to college with. So it gave me that time to sit down. I remember reading a book called Unraveled, which is one of my favorite books, where it really explains, or it's a book that really talks to you as if God is speaking to you. And then it was more so I felt understood of like everything that I went through has a purpose that also helps out. And then also understanding that God will be there like while I go through the journey. But having a time where without other people's opinions, and I'll also get off of social media to help with that as well. It just made it so that God could talk to me much more clearly. So that was like the key. The conversations with God was like really what helped.
What did your healing journey teach you about life?
Who, let's say about life, I learned that everything that I go through isn't just for me. So it's like a lot of the times or a lot of the instances that I went through, other people have gone through them as well, but they probably may not have felt comfortable speaking on them. They may have felt like no one else has gone through the same things. So it made me realize that I wasn't alone and that part of my purpose is to endure certain things so that I'm able to help other people endure them as well. And then also, that's a good thing to think of.
Hmm.
During that isolation, that's when God revealed my purpose. That is actually was the key ingredient to help me stop having suicidal thoughts. Because it's like, okay, I am here for a reason. There's things and assignments that I need to complete. And ultimately, me being here is beneficial. So, God taking that time to let me know your purpose is to be able to spread love and my goodness in a physical form is what made it easier for me to like push through and then be able to take everything that I learned and make it be beneficial to others as well.
Great. No, and I know you mentioned earlier you had the suicidal thoughts, self harm early, and it
Mhm.
kind of came back in 2025.
Mhm.
So, kind of what was that like?
It was frustrating. It actually I think at one point I was devastated because I was disappointed in myself actually because it was like you went through all that work, you went through that isolation period, God sat down, had these conversations with you, he revealed your purpose, and now you're still sitting here thinking that your life is worthless when God has told you over and over that that's not the case.
Hmm.
But I also had to learn to give myself grace through that time because even though like God did reveal all of the beautiful things about me, I had now reached another level of life that had intensified. So it's like in isolation, everything was fine. I didn't have to deal with my granddad having cancer. I didn't know about any of the mental health issues that any of my other families was going through. So family members, sorry, was going through. So it was an easy route of healing. Now it was like, okay, you learned this and now you actually have to apply it when your world is chaotic. So I had to give myself grace because it was doing something I actually did not do before. And then I just had to apply my previous teachings to the current situation. But at first I was frustrated.
Yeah, I think I think it's frustrating, especially like being Christian too. Is like you get through the one battle and then it comes back again. It's like, all right,
All right.
I learned the lesson already. Like, why are we doing this again?
Why are we doing this again? And it will make it even more frustrating when I'll go through my journal and it'll be exact verbiage of how to get through exactly what I was dealing with. And I'm like, I should have picked this up a month ago because I already wrote down all the recipes during that isolation time. Little did I know, like, it was a guidebook to help me during that current, like last year. But I had to sit down long enough to read the journal and to be able to go back and see all of the little guidelines that I left for myself.
Did you find yourself when it was happening again, kind of kind of pulling away from God a little bit?
Um, Actually, no.
Okay.
It was the opposite. So when I was originally like having suicidal thoughts in high school and in college, during that time I was actively running.
Mm.
Because I was also doing things that I knew God was gonna make me stop doing. So I was actively running. Last year I was running to him just because I knew how dark the thoughts could get, and I was actively trying my best to not get that bad. So I was opening that Bible, I was journaling, I was crying out. It got to a point I actually talked to God. And I remember one night, I'm like, okay, God, we did all this work in Jacksonville. I don't know what you want to do now. I said, the little girl is dying again, so we got to figure out a plan now because I don't have much energy left in me. And I'm like, I also told him, I'm like, I hope you're not trying to make me be Job because we don't need to prove anything to the devil
Right.
anyway.
For real.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So no, I was running towards him, but the difficulty was that I didn't understand the things that he was telling me at the time because again, I was still jam packing my schedule. So it was like I wasn't giving as much attention to him as I should, but in the state that I was in, I was trying to go towards him. I just didn't realize how unhealthy my coping mechanism was and how much I was actually distracting myself. So when he was trying to talk to me, I couldn't hear him, or I didn't understand him, or it didn't make sense. So then it was causing me to be more upset.
No, yeah. What do you think keeps people alive when life feels like so unbearable?
Yes, that is a great question. I think that goes back to what I mentioned of like really being grounded in your purpose. For me, like when I am sad, bringing joy to other people it actually is something that actually like lifts my mood a lot. So you have to find those things in life that brings you that joy. For me, it was knowing that I have a purpose that I could go after, and then bringing that joy to other people. And then it was also taking the time to reflect and realize people actually do love and care about me, regardless of what my mind is trying to tell me at the moment. And that's why it's really good to journal and have all of the evidence of people loving you because it's like sometimes when you are in a suicidal or negative mind like set, it could be so easy to fall into like that pit hole that people actually don't care. But when you actually look at the evidence, so many people love me, so many people will be devastated if I actually kill myself. Granted, I hate to say like live for other people because no one actually knows the mindset that you are in, but it is important to understand that people do want you here. And a lot of times I would think, or I'm assuming that when you are suicidal, it's because you feel like you don't actually have an impact, or you're not actually being purposeful, or people don't actually want you here.
Mm, that's real. What would you say to someone who really doesn't have a lot of family or friends and they're still struggling?
Yes, that is also a good question because I could kind of say that as I mentioned, my father has lost a lot of his family. So he's lost both his parents, he lost his brother, lost cousins, aunties, uncles. I think for him, he just finds the things that make him happy. He goes to the joy. He goes to the joy. He goes to the gym. He hangs out with his boys. He goes to the bar. He starts to get back in church and things of that nature. So it's more so find your hobbies. As I mentioned, there's a lot of things that I love to do. You could find out that you like racing, like going for runs. You can find out that you like to paint. You can find out that you could build your own community by going to church or going to different events within like the area that you live in and being able to connect with more people that you have things in common with. So it's more so it's work, but it's more like find the people, find your community, find people that could love on you. It doesn't necessarily have to be blood.
Yeah, I have found myself the gym has been great.
Mhm.
I don't maybe somebody just lifting heavy things. It just helps out a lot, or going for a run. There's so many people who will talk about like when they're struggling mentally, they'll just go to the gym or
Yes.
they'll go for really long runs. I think people underestimate how much like fitness can be
Actually,
beneficial like for your mental health and really keep you in like a real good space.
yes, for sure. That's when I started the gym during my isolation period. I actually would spend like 3, 4 hours there. I would be in there knocking back 2 Celsius. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But
This is one of them arcs.
it was
This is
one of
one
the
of them
arcs. It was
arcs.
a
One of them
training
arcs.
arc,
Right.
right? And I definitely started lifting heavy, but it also, the gym strengthened my mind. Actually, it helped me realize that I could overcome a lot of things. Because starting a gym, I couldn't lift anything. Like, and then you actually take the time, and now like I could squat over 200, and that was something that I never thought that I would be able to do. So like really gym, yes, health, yes, physique, but also yes, you really build the mental discipline and tolerance and strength, knowing that you can achieve and accomplish things in a very tangible way.
No, yeah, totally agree. I think that one of the reasons why I got into running was one, I had really high A1C levels.
Mhm,
I was like borderline diabetic, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to start running and moving your body." So that's helped me out a lot. Now
mhm.
I'm completely out the pre-diabetic. We're good there.
Okay, we love
But
that.
I think running is it's hard.
Running
Running
is
is hard,
hard.
and we run, so we be doing the races, so we know like just being able to just run, like whether it's a 5K, a 10K, a 10 miler, it's something about overcoming running. It hits a little bit different when like when you're in the gym a little bit.
Yes, I honestly I never thought that I would be a runner. I in high school I went to track practice for 2 days. I quit.
Hmm.
My mom said she was gonna put me back in dance class. I started like jogging a little bit right before I moved here. And then the area that I live now in Maryland was just a nice area. So I was like, let me walk. And then I started running and then met Jalen and you all. And y'all was like, come and do a 5K. I'm like, I ain't never run 3 miles before.
Hmm.
And then you do it, you're like, oh, that's actually cool. And when
Yeah.
you're running, it was actually a beautiful sun shining day. The birds was outside. It helps relax me and also pushes me at the same time.
Cool. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's been great. So let's kind of dive into your J. Cole era. What I know that obviously that's probably one of your favorite artists. So
Yes.
what made you want to start making content? And kind of let's walk through that.
Content was actually a surprise. It wasn't intentional. It was during the isolation period.
Hmm.
And actually on TikTok, I only had like 200 followers. That was the reason why I actually started posting content because I didn't have followers. Like, I was like, no one's gonna see it. Like,
Hmm.
so I was literally just posting anything and everything just because I had so much time on my hands and I was by myself. Um, and then stuff just started to go like viral. And it was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. And within J. Cole, I kind of explained um a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't find it. But I have a quote unquote a unofficial interview with J. Cole. But I explained in that interview that in regards to making his music or making videos for his music, that was more so like a sign from God to go ahead and do that. Because I mentioned I was in the gym listening to his music, and during the time I thought about making a video for it, and then the sun immediately like shined on me, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I just kept on going out with my workout, and I was like, no, that'll actually be a really good video, and the sun shined on me again, and I immediately like left and recorded a video and posted it, and immediately went viral. And then from there was able to like really go on a run just rapping J. Cole lyrics, which I thought was very different. And at first I thought it was very like cliche because now it's just like a cute girl just rapping lyrics, but I did find a way to like express how J. Cole can be helpful, especially with those that are dealing with mental issues. If you actually look at a lot of the quotes that I'm putting, it's like me blessing J. Cole when I need to push through, me blessing J. Cole when I need to remember I'm God's favorite, me blessing J. Cole when I'm thinking about all the obstacles that I was able to overcome. Um, so I feel like that is what partially led for God to allow with that to be so successful, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. What kept you to keep making content?
Honestly, I got monetized from TikTok and I was trying to make money.
For real.
As I mentioned,
For
like
real though.
last year I was struggling financially. So the moment that I was monetized, I was doing really good with TikTok. Like I could make like $500 a month just singing songs. Um, during last year, it plummeted, and I was trying so hard to like, okay, I'm trying to make money, and it was not generating any revenue. And then so I would stop. And then I realized outside of the money, I like doing it. Like
Hmm.
making content is actually genuinely fun. Being able to put my personality online is fun. Being able to rap music, I love music, even outside of J. Cole. Like being able to just put that out is it's literally a good healthy coping mechanism,
No,
actually.
no, that's fair. Yeah, you're real consistent. So for someone who is struggling, well, take that back. For someone who wants to make content but
Mhm.
struggles with staying consistent, what would you tell them?
I'm struggling too. Um, but I would say you have to make sure that you're doing it because you actually enjoy making content.
Hmm.
Honestly, the social media world right now is oversaturated. So it's like it's not going to be an easy quick fix to getting a whole bunch of money. You have to actually do it because you feel like you're doing something meaningful or it's generally just fun to you. And so like having that fun aspect is what's going to make it so that you can be consistent. Because like as I mentioned, I had to take a break for work. Like my 9 to 5 was taking up all my time, but I'm like I miss making videos. Like I miss editing. I miss actually doing those things because for me it was an outlet and it was enjoyable. So you have to find a niche that is actually enjoyable. Don't do it just because you feel like it's going to get you viral. Like do it because you actually enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, I have found a lot of people who make content just want to do it to go viral.
Yes.
I
And
mean, it's cool, but it's just like, all right, now what? You
now
got
what?
viral. Now what do you do?
And especially when they like do the same thing that's already there, you didn't do it because you actually enjoyed it. You saw somebody else go viral for it, so now you want to try to repeat it. And now it's not actually generating the output that you would actually wish for.
What was it like meeting J. Cole?
Oh my gosh, that was such a cool experience. I don't know if you remember, you literally asked me the night before if I would like overreact when I met him. And I said no.
You definitely did, didn't
I
you?
definitely
I know.
did.
It's okay.
I definitely screamed. Um, but that was one of the coolest experiences of my life because it outside of me and J. Cole, that was God telling me that he heard everything that I said during that time that I was crying last year. So what I mean by that, I remember you asking me how I would feel meeting him, not knowing that like I'll be able to meet him the next day. I remember talking to Jalen like I would love to meet him, but right now it's always crowded. He was doing like the little civic tour.
Hmm.
And I'm like everywhere he goes is crowded. I'm 5'2". I hate crowds. Like like I could literally get like not trampled, but technically I can, but I just don't enjoy crowds. And so I actually was able to meet him the next day while no one was around. So it was like just that quick turnaround of like, God, like, I hear you want to meet him. I hear you don't want anyone else around. And I know you actually want to have a conversation with him. So I'm about to make all of that possible immediately. So that gave me reassurance of like, if he hears little things like that, that's actually it's not significant technically. It made me happy, but I know he heard my cries when I said that the little girl is dying. I know he heard me say that I need help with my finances. I know he heard me say like I'm hurting about my granddad. So me being J. Cole was a direct reflection of God listening to me. And then outside of that, J. Cole is cool. Like he is such a genuine and humble person where like it didn't feel awkward. I was nervous because like that was my favorite artist, but he did his best of like helping me calm down and just like
Yeah,
have an authentic
definitely.
conversation
Yeah,
with me. And even the whole like Dreamville team, it was really like nice meeting them. And the coolest part was that they all knew me, and I was like, "What?"
that's tough.
That's what made me freak out because I was doing good, and then I walked in, and J. Cole was like, "I see your videos." That's why I screamed. I was doing really good before then.
Being a fangirl. Okay. No, that's dope though. No, man, all your hard work really paid off. And I know you mentioned something really important. You said that you know feeling, not feeling unheard from God.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people who feel like they're praying for something and God's not answering. They feel unheard. So what would you tell them?
This is very cliche, but you know, the teacher is quiet during the test. So during that time, God wanted me to be able to build my endurance. He wanted me to be able to build my strength. He wanted me to be able to build confidence within myself. So he was listening, he was present, but he was allowing me to work through it so that I could grow. And so sometimes you will feel like God is not hearing you or he not listening, but he's helping you grow. That's actually part of what the sermon was about today. Um, he puts us in certain situations so that we can develop our character, develop our endurance, and just become like better overall. So I would say understand like it's a bigger purpose even when you feel like he's not speaking to you. He's allowing you to learn more and to be able to go through more, basically.
Yeah, and I can explain that with the job search. Like I was explaining in my last episode I did with my friend T. I was like, yeah, I'm prayed out, fasted out. I'm tired for real. I've
Yes.
applied to so many jobs. Nobody's hearing back. You have interviews, you don't get it. You reach out to feedback. They don't say anything. They ghost you. It's a it's a lot of endurance. I feel like God put me through
Yes.
for this job search. And I feel like for people in general that are just not hearing their prayers unheard, it's a lot of endurance. And yeah, it could be real frustrating. It's very easy to be like, oh, I don't not motivated to pray and go to
Hmm.
church. And you can get in one of those arcs where it's like, yo, I just really
Don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this, or I don't want to talk to God right now. I'm angry, which is all normal. But I feel like, there's you'll see when it's done what the reason
Hmm.
is. And I feel like you said the teacher's quieter in the test, so he was quiet for a lot longer than I
That,
expected,
that
for sure.
same for me. And something I also learned during that time is that God wants the like full honesty of how you feeling. So one, faith fatigue, that is a real thing. You could be tired from praying. You could be tired from trusting God. But he also wants you to he wants you to say, I am tired. Actually, I don't want to pray no more. So I literally, it'll be some days I'll wake up and I'm like, God, I don't feel like praying. So we just about to sit. And he'd be like, okay. Because
For real,
that's like, that's
for
all I
real,
had in me.
for
And
real.
I had to be very honest. I had to get rid of that toxic positivity that I mentioned earlier and tell him, no, I'm mad at you. Actually, because I feel like you have all the power to be able to fix everything that I'm going through, and you're not doing it for me right now.
Yeah, we do, and you get you get tired of the cliche, God's got it. It's gonna
Oh,
be okay. When the amount of people that kept telling me during my job search, and God bless them, it's gonna be okay. It's in God's hands. Keep throwing shit at the wall. Something gonna stick. Keep praying. I'm like, I'm tired of
tired.
hearing that. I'd rather just not say anything. You just get to a point by month 5, it's like, all right, you just gonna keep telling me the same
Same
thing.
thing.
And people don't want to like have those conversations where it's like it's frustrating as hell. I really
Yes.
don't want to keep hearing the same thing. It got to a point like I love my mother. I told her like, please ask me about the job search. Please.
I was just about to say I did the same
Please.
thing.
Please stop asking me.
With my family, I know I just did not answer the phone for a day. And then
For
like
real.
when I answered the next day, I was like, actually, I was in my feelings and I didn't feel like y'all telling me that it was gonna get better because I just felt like being mad. And it was like, that's real. So you
Um,
do get tired of like the reassurance to an extent because it's like you don't think I heard that already. You don't think I'm throwing every fucking thing I got at the wall. Do
literally.
you not
For
think?
real, you just get so, and it's really not the person's fault. It's just like,
It's
yo, I'd
not.
rather you just say something. Try a new bar. Let's try something else around
Get in
me.
the studio, find a
Yeah,
new
find
line.
something else. Like it really, and for people that go through stuff, it's okay to be like, I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, stop telling me that God's got it, because right now He don't.
Right now, literally, um, that made me think of a J. Cole quote, and it says sometimes it feel like the devil be winning, so that doesn't mean that God is losing.
For
But I
real.
literally, for everyone that was close to me, I had to start telling them, actually, I don't feel like hearing that right now. I'll talk to you later. And they would be like, okay. Then the next day, I'll be like, yeah, I was having a moment. I had to
Hmm.
go tell God. And every time that I had those moments, I would go back and be like, no, God, I'm frustrated. So you're telling me I'm your daughter. You're telling me I'm all of these things, or you have told me that before. I need to see it. Please put a cherry on top. And I know that like having conversations like that can be taboo to some people
Hmm.
because it's like you are supposed to fear God, of course, but also we are his children. So he does want to have the authentic feelings because that is what he can work with. He's not one of those guys that's going to come in and do well. Sometimes of course he'll make some things work out even when you don't ask, but it's like he prefers for you to be able to express how he's feeling because that is something that he could work with so much more than trying to pretend to be okay.
Yeah, and I think for people that are going through stuff, it's important to like understand the feelings and really grasp it, and just be authentic about it. Just
Yes.
like, hey, this job search, it really sucks right now. Or like when you tap into faith, I'm tired of praying. It's been 4 months. I'm barely making rent. I don't know what's going on. I think it's okay to just be a little bit vulnerable and open up, which I struggle
Mhm.
with. It's
Yeah.
funny enough, one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast was because I was so bad at like opening up and being vulnerable about stuff. I was when I was with my therapist at the time. I was like, yeah, I was doing life coaching. I think I should start a podcast because it'll kind of help
Mhm.
me out. And like, not only just for I wanted to hear other people's stories to help people. I was like, it's a good way for me to like practice like being more vulnerable and talking because I keep everything inside. You never.
They actually, that's what like putting filling out the form to be on your podcast. That was actually something God put on my heart because I actually don't like talking about like
Mhm.
my actual mental health. I'm becoming more comfortable
Right,
because, as I
definitely.
mentioned, I have to have those conversations because it actually could help other people. But I also am someone that would keep so much to myself. Like, even in regards, like, I was talking to my auntie a few weeks ago. They actually, most of my family actually talked to me about their problems. And then we were just talking, and she was like, Crystal, you be going through stuff and we don't find out till like months later. And I'd be like, I know.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
I literally would keep things to myself. And that was something that I learned as well. I treasured trauma. Treasuring trauma can sometimes aid to depression, because when you are holding on to the things that are hurting you and not allowing yourself to express it or have conversations, that's when the thoughts can get louder of like, you're alone. Actually, you see, no one's actually helping you right now, so no one actually cares about you.
Mm.
No one is actually going through the things or have went through the things that you went through. All of those are lies. But if you're keeping everything to yourself and actually not expressing it to people, then you are not opening the blinds for people to be able to help you, to be able to explain, actually, I have been through something similar through that, and we can have conversations that will help you get through those things. So that's why I started to be more open to like talk about where my mental health has been and the journey of it. And that has led for me to feel much better as well. But yeah, don't treasure trauma. Actually be vulnerable enough to share with those that you know care about you or that you feel safe enough to actually speak with.
Yeah, big on for those that care about you. You can't
Yeah, because you can't just give it to
people
anybody.
people be low key praying on your downfall.
Sometimes, yes,
Yeah,
and
it's sad.
they just be wanting to hear what's wrong with you just to be able to
Right.
take it back. Like, no, I need help. If I'm telling you this shit, help
Yeah,
me in
right.
some
Right. Help
capacity.
me for real.
Nigga,
Yeah, real
please.
shit. I guess for someone who, what would you tell somebody who is really struggling with their mental health, feels suicidal and doesn't know what to do?
Um, Reach out to someone that you know cares about you. For me, I know one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had to call my mom and be like, actually, Ma, I don't want to be here. I haven't been want to be here for years. So find that person that you know that you could actually be vulnerable with. Go to therapy. For a long time, I avoided therapy because I felt ashamed for being in such a down place. Also, because it was expensive. So definitely see if your work has some benefits to help go to therapy, but talk to someone that is actually licensed to be able to have those conversations with. Find your joy. Finding joy takes a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of trials, but do not stop. Try something new every day until it makes your heart flutter, until you realize, okay, I actually want to do this more than once. You have to literally, like, the thoughts, you have to realize it's actually a fight. Fight it.
Hmm.
Fight it by actually finding the things that bring you joy, finding your community, and being vulnerable enough to express. It is okay to be down. It is okay to understand, like, where my current life is, I do not like it at all. But you actually have to start having those conversations and doing the work to switch it.
Real. Okay. No,
Mm.
this is helpful. So, do you have any final thoughts you want to tell guests or anybody listening?
Um, I would say it is okay to like express yourself. It is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to be where you are, and just know God got you. Throw the shit against the wall until it
Keep
stick.
throwing it. Keep throwing it. It's going
Keep
to stick
throwing it.
eventually, even if it takes
It's,
7 months, but it'll work.
and be honest with everyone, with yourself. Be honest with God. Be honest with your friends, because the honesty is that's the thing that's going to make sure that you get to the other side and lead
Hmm.
to your success.
That's real. All right, well, Crystal, thanks so much. Where could they find you again, just for reference?
Crystal dot Elaine, Crystal with a K. Dot Elaine underscore for Instagram and TikTok, and then for YouTube it's just Crystal dot Elaine. And I'm also doing a series on learning to become God's daughter on YouTube that I'm actually working to pick up this week. So definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, tune in, comment. I love reading comments, and being able to build community on a social media platform.
Cool. All right, Crystal, thanks so much again.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you. Till next time. Peace. All right. That was good. You did a good job.
Thank you.